All right, everyone. So we have an update on Vince McMahon since all these lawsuits and obviously the federal investigation into him has taken place. Um, so this is a report from NBC that gives us a little bit of an update on not only what he's been doing, but what him and his lawyers think is going to happen. So this is from the article. Still, he seems to have moved on, according to multiple sources. McMahon has kept up his other routines, and it says if he's unfazed by his legal fights, two sources said. For instance, on an afternoon in late March, McMahon returned on a private plane to the United States from the sunny Turks and Caicos Islands, but he wasn't alone. According to a person close to him, he had with him 7 kittens and a puppy, all of which he brought back to be adopted by his friends. This person added. If anything, he's enjoying life, said the person, who added that McMahon had also taken a trip to Italy. So this was in late March that took place. This is more from the article a little bit further down. McMahon is cooperating with authorities, according to one of the people close to him. McMahon believes officials won't bring any charges against him, and that Grant's civil case will be settled out of court, said a person close to the former wrestling executive. The spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York declined to comment. So he doesn't think there's going to be anything brought in terms of charges, and he thinks the case is going to be settled. These are two developments. We don't know how true they are. We don't know. This is clearly someone who knows Vince McMahon that's talking to NBC. So due to that, why this comes out, if this is true, nobody really knows per se. And then this is one more update. While his legal battles persist, McMahon is often ferried by a private driver from his posh Connecticut home to Manhattan, according to one of the sources close to him. There, he eats with friends at restaurants such as the old school Italian spot Tileno East on 46th Street, sees his longtime barber for biweekly haircuts, and works with his personal trainer multiple times a week, the source says. Two other sources, however, say McMahon has otherwise been quite guarded and often on the phone with his lawyers to map out plans since Grant's lawsuit was made public. They also say in the article that he's been in touch with Trump, but nobody knows what that has been about. So I think this is interesting, this article, when it comes out, because there's two things that we have to consider. The first is obviously, what has changed in his life since these allegations have come out. It was interesting to hear that, and clearly he has enough money, so he's going on vacations, doing various things, and mapping out his legal strategy um, to how to combat this. And the big news here is that he doesn't think federal charges come. So if federal charges don't come in the case with, is settled out of court, then, because obviously there's two things. You have the federal charges and then you have the civil lawsuit. If the civil lawsuit is settled out of court and there's no federal charges, then he's going to be, this is going to be that's not going to exist, but he's not going to be put in jail, right? Obviously, he wouldn't in the civil case either, but more stuff could come out in the civil case if, the case goes on. If that's settled and there's no charges brought against him, this leads to the next thing, which is what is the next step for Vince McMahon? And why that matters is because it's highly unlikely, at least from what it seems, that he will ever be back in the WWE. Mainly because they're doing, at this point, his control over WWE or any power or any sympathy he has within the organization is probably gone, right? Because it's new ownership. Even though Triple H and is obviously still there, this idea that he would be able to bring Vince back in or that the board of directors would want to bring Vince back in seems unlikely. But remember, Meltzer was just putting out articles about wondering would he start another wrestling promotion? Would he start something else? And that is honestly an interesting thing to consider if this article is true. If all of this stuff is legally gone, right? Obviously, the idea that all of this stuff in some way, it's gonna be with him forever at this point, right? Unless something drastic happened where the civil lawsuit fell apart with no, it just something changed, right? It seems like this will be with him forever, basically. But legally speaking, it will be over, and that would allow him to, if he sold a bunch of stock, he could go in and try to start a new thing. Well, like I said, whether that happens, whether that's the case, nobody knows, but it certainly could be the case. And going to be interesting to see. So I thought this was an update everybody would want to hear because it's nobody knows. Nobody's really heard about what Vince is doing, or it's not like there's like daily updates about the federal investigation against him. He doesn't think there's charges. Like I said, whether that's true or not is yet to be seen. But if there isn't charges and this thing is settled out of court, the next question is going to be, what is Vince McMahon going to do with his life after all of this? Is he going to be retired? Is he going to try to start something new? Is he going to attempt to make his way back into WWE? Doesn't seem like that would be the case, but you never know. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.